His reviews will get you further than the film will ever go. If you give him just a moment of your time, he'll let you know which movies rock, which movies stink, which movies shouldn't have been released. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
Listen up, all ye fans of Waking Life, because this is the closest thing to a compliment you will hear me say about this abominable film. It wasn't quite as bad as the abysmal What the Bleep Do We Know, but it was damn close. But What the Bleep Do We Know was bad because it was deliberately, philosophically, and scientifically misleading. Waking Life is bad because it seems to have no aim at all. Nothing but constant babbling about random subjects that are never begun or concluded in the discussion. The conversations in this film all seem to start in the middle and end in the middle. One guy will come onto the scene, spout bullshit, and then we cut to either a good-looking view of the scenery or to another pedantic, mouth-breathing pseudo-intellectual who thinks he's special because he drives around in a boat. And the topics these people get into are so mischaracterized, jumbled, overflowing with jargon, and poorly defined by the speaker that it is impossible, for the most part, to say whether or not they're right or wrong about their conclusions. Yeah, I'm starting to have deja vu here. Why does this movie bother existing? Why did anyone bother to make it? I don't know. I don't want to know. It doesn't matter. This film should not be watched. Now, as you may have guessed, this is another one of those films like The Cube and the Matrix sequels where there is no real plot to go through here. Telling you that the film is about people coming in, saying something, and leaving would be the whole review if I did it that way. The only thing I can do to review this film is to give my 2 cents on the precious few topics that are coherent enough to be analyzed in this film. So, as you may have guessed, this is going to be one of those reviews. The kind where I address a point of view expressed in the movie, counter it, and then move on. So if you were less than interested in my reviews of the Matrix sequels or The Cube, I won't really blame you for skipping this one as well, but I hope everyone understands that I have no real way of reviewing a film like this other than the way I'm doing it here. So here we go. The subjects of this film fall into 3 categories: uncritiquable, bullshit, and random. I'll begin with the first one on that list and go from there. Now, I say uncritiquable because the ideas being expressed here are so confused that it is impossible to analyze their meaning. Let me demonstrate. At one point in the film, we have a gentleman discussing what I can only assume is the mind, and he says the following, word for word. I think we are in a very significant moment in history. Those moments, those what you might call liminal, limit, frontier, edge, zone experiences, are actually now becoming the norm. These multiplicities and distinctions and differences that have given great difficulty to the old mind are actually, through entering into their very essence, tasting and feeling their uniqueness. One might make a breakthrough to that common something that holds them together. And he closes this oh-so-coherent thought with this. The moment is not just a passing empty nothing, yet, and this is the way in which these secret passages happen, yes, it's empty with such fullness that the great moment, the great life of the universe, is pulsating in it. I had the same reaction to this as I did listening to the Matrix Reloaded's architect character for the first time. What the hell did he say? And when you actually break down the words and siphon meaning from them, you realize the answer is the same here as it was there. Nothing. Moving on to bullshit. The main character in the film sits down with a guy in a bar, and the guy tells him this. Almost all human behavior and activity is not essentially any different from animal behavior. Yeah, that's totally true, guy. Except for the fact that man is the only religious animal, the only philosophical animal, the only scientific animal, the only conceptual animal, the only aesthetic animal, the only artistic animal, the only animal which possesses a sense of humor. And he seems to be the only being on Earth that does not have a predetermined nature. That is, man is the only potential animal. It is that fact of potentiality in the behavior of man that led the French existentialist Merleau-Ponty to make the audacious claim that it is in the nature of man not to have a nature. I can compile a lengthy list of differences between man and other animals in terms of behavior and activity, but I could not do so when compiling a list of fundamental differences in the behavior and activity of animals and other animals. He goes on to say that our great scientific achievements and technologies bring us, at best, up to the super chimpanzee level. You know, as opposed to the non-super chimpanzee. What this means, according to this guy, is that to be a scientific animal merely brings us up to the same level as a non-scientific animal. Unless, of course, he means to say that it simply makes us super chimpanzees, but then he would probably have wanted to go with apes instead. To see if this grand statement holds up, let's cross-reference it with some of the experts. I don't know what this guy's qualifications are in anything, but the great evolutionary biologist Theodosius Dobzhansky had this to say on the matter. Man is not simply a very clever ape. On the contrary, he possesses some faculties that occur in other animals only as rudiments, if at all. Human intellectual abilities seem to be not only quantitatively, but also qualitatively different from those of animals other than men. Of course, those of you familiar with Dobzhansky may try to write this off as him retreating to his religious dogmas. Well, in that case, let's get a well-known atheist's professional opinion. Ernst Mayr, whom I consider to be the greatest evolutionary biologist who ever lived, had this to say a mere 9 years ago. When it was realized that apes had been man's ancestors, some authors went so far as to state, man is nothing but an animal. However, this is not at all true. Man is indeed as unique, as different from all other animals, as has been traditionally claimed by theologians and philosophers. This is both our pride and our burden. Now, before the religious right tries to tout this as an atheist conceding to a divine creator, let me make it clear that Meyer was not giving any support to theism by saying this. For him, the difference in kind between man and other animals was superficial, but it was nevertheless a real difference in kind. The notion that human beings are not essentially different from other animals not only flies in the face of common sense, but it is not well supported in any particular field. But most astounding of all, the man says this: the gap between Plato and Nietzsche and the average human is greater than the gap of the chimpanzee and the average human. What this means, if true, is that there is a bigger gap between humans and other humans than there is between humans and non-humans. That's impossible. This kind of claim is the reason that I didn't care very much for Nietzsche. And yeah, I know the fans of Nietzsche out there are going to get on my case about the pronunciation, that saying Nietzsche is like saying Descartes or Socrates. Well, you don't get to tell me what I call him, damn it. I call him Nietzsche. Then tossed in there at one random point is a rant by radio personality Alex Jones. This is where we get into that random category. Here's what Alex Jones has to say for himself in the film. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned with what's happening in this world. I'm concerned with the structure. I'm concerned with these systems of control, those that control my life and seek to control it even more. I want freedom. That's what I want, and that's what you should want. Well, Alex, who is trying to control your life? Can you name them or point them out? What kind of freedom do you want? Is it freedom from or freedom to do? This rant was so unspecific and random that you could easily add the line from The Naked Gun, I want to live in a world where I can eat a sea otter and not get sick. The only halfway decent part of Waking Life is the David Sosa discussion about the problem of free will. He explains well not only the problem, but also the problem with the current traditional solution to the problem. This scene was good, but you know what? Just watch that scene. I'll even favorite it on my YouTube channel for you. As for the rest of the film, throw it in the... You know what? I'm not even going to say that. To say that you should throw this movie in the garbage does no good. It's like telling you should throw garbage in the garbage. It just creates more garbage. No. Chuck this into the sun.